at the time I had a very bad self-harm addiction. And when he had seen my body and what I had done to it, he would ask me to do it more because it turned him on. Hi, I'm Sugar, and I've been on this game for way too long. So, I've been playing VR Chat since about 2019 to 2020. It was an experience, definitely, when I first started. I started right before COVID hit, and it was not a really good time in my life. I had a lot of really terrible things happen in middle school, and I got expelled. And then as soon as I got back into school, once the expulsion was over, COVID had hit. So I was not really doing the best. I was out of school, I had no friends, everyone was sick, no one was allowed to go outside, and I was entering freshman year of high school.
Pretty crucial point in your life.
My family yeah, pretty important.
pretty important for your social life, but you know, it's fine.
Definitely. So my parents decided that we should move out of the town that we lived in, because I grew up in a very small, like, racist town with majority white people, and they were all not very nice. So we decided, oh, let's, move to the city, give her like another chance at a different social life.
Yeah.
So I got into, it was the summer going into high school before my freshman year. And I don't remember exactly how it happened, but my older sister gave me her old like Dell laptop that she used to use, and I saw a plethora of games that I wanted to try because I had always been like a PS3, PS4 player. I wanted to experience some PC gaming,
even if it was on a little bit of an old Dell laptop, it's fine.
Yeah.
Gaming for everybody, no matter what.
So, I downloaded VR Chat. It looked really cool because I'd seen videos on YouTube about it before. Don't fall asleep in VR or whatever, like stuff like that.
My first video was definitely Swagger Souls goes on a date with Hey I'm B.
Mine, I think, yeah, mine was Hey I'm B. Like
Dude,
her, don't fall asleep in VR Chat. This happened.
I remember seeing those
The
videos
whole
as well.
Ugandan Knuckles thing.
Oh my god, W era. I love that era.
Yeah. So I was like really intrigued by it. I thought it was really neat, and I wanted to play it. At the time, PC players, like just desktop, was super common. Not many people, at least that I met or interacted with, had VR. And if they did, it was usually accompanied by full body. Like, there was not really many half body users like you see today. And there wasn't as many full body users there is now. So most of my friends were all like desktop users. I met a lot of people within my first day, just going to like those new user hubs or whatever. I met a couple people, some of which I'm still friends with to this day, which is amazing. But I also met a lot of really crappy people. There was a lot of terrible people that I met, and the things that I've experienced on this game, they're both the good and the bad, for sure.
This game's definitely a breeding ground for a lot of just like actual supervillains and Mega Mind level. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of crazy how much it's just like they come on here and they're able to project who they want to really be, and they're just like they're just evil, bro. I'm telling you.
They try to put on a persona that they think is really neat or really cool, in hopes that someone will think that they're neat or cool because they don't have that in person or in real life.
Yeah.
So they like make a new personality for themselves, and that's a lot of the people that I ran into and have ran into and will probably continue to run into.
Yeah, it seems like it's a growing breed as well. Just they get this full body, they're these like really big buff, just absolutely just humongous muscles come on here, and then they're like Yeah,
Oh,
my name's
yeah.
Jonathan. I'm 29 years old. It's like, alright, bro, calm down.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Oh, and then yeah, it's just it's a whole thing.
It's all shenanigans.
There's yeah, a lot of shenanigans, and there's surprisingly a lot of like insecurity that I watch stem from this game. Like people will get on here and use an avatar and then end up becoming insecure in person because they don't look like their avatar, which is really weird to say. And like it's really interesting how like the game can affect people.
Yeah, just really
But,
unjust body standards upon these avatars. You know, with the slimmest waists, the biggest booties.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's like, you know, they get sad when they see.
The whole thing.
Yeah, and it also stands for dudes too, because like these muscles that these dudes have, it's like you have to be on roids to get that. So it's very just on both sides of the spectrum. It's super just like crazy to look at. I'm like, bro.
They got like a 16 pack and
like
everything.
A 42 pack on their chest, like muscles on top of their muscles. Like, all right,
oh
calm
my
down.
god. Yeah, no, it's insane. But yeah. So a couple of the first people that I ran into, I won't be saying their names because I didn't ask if I can. But I ran into a lot of people, and I met a lot of people, and I became friends with a lot of people. And one of those people was, I believe, was 23, and I met him in, I don't remember what world it was, but it was one of those like new player worlds where a lot of people go. And he was a full body user at the time, and I thought he was really cool. And little 14-year-old me had kind of a crush on him, as you know, one does. I want to preface this, I didn't pursue anything with him, and I mostly just annoyed him and would make jokes with him, and we had kind of a like father-daughter relationship, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And he quickly showed his true colors. He was really awesome in the beginning. He was kind of like a hard personality type. Like he wasn't nice to people, wouldn't put himself out there. He was just like a total asshole, just all the time. And but he did protect me a lot from a lot of pedophiles, which I really appreciate. Because in the following years I would continue to be groomed and, you know, whatever. Like, it happened. But, so he ended up being really crappy because he was extremely racist, and I was not, and he didn't like that. So, he told me one day he was being rude to a person of color in Discord server that we're both in, and he was calling them the N-word, and he told me to do it too. And I told him that I didn't want to do that. I didn't think it was right, and he got unbelievably mad at me and told me that we weren't gonna be friends anymore because I was abandoning my own race, and basically...
Yeah, those guys.
Yeah, he was just like, oh, you can friend me again when you're ready to be with your own people. And I was just like, whoa! That's crazy!
That's wild, bro.
What are you saying, my guy?
That is a little crazy coming from you, man. I'm not gonna lie.
It was insane. So he ended up blocking me, and I never spoke to him ever again, which is good.
Obviously.
I don't know what he's doing now, obviously, because I don't have that contact, and I don't really want to seek it out. But I have looked up his old VRChat account, and he has since been banned. So
Who would have guessed if you went around
I think it's for good reason.
Going around being a bit of a
yeah.
Probably gonna get banned. Gonna have to blur that out, but
yeah,
you know,
definitely.
a little crazy. But yeah, that's a little wild of that guy, I'm not gonna lie. As you can see, VRChat has a whole host of problems. Body dysmorphia, racism, homophobia, etc. She has personally witnessed it all at a very young age, which poses the question as to what the VRChat developers have put into place to ensure that the younger audience won't be subjected to these types of behaviors. Let's continue her story.
So in the months following, I became friends with a couple more people, and two of which were within my vicinity in real life. They were both, I think, 19, and they both lived at least 30 minutes away from me.
Yeah. Were you still
this
14 at
was-
this time?
I was still 14, yes. I
Interesting.
was 14, 15, around there.
Okay.
And I don't remember a whole bunch of one of them because I really genuinely just don't remember. But he would often get really mad at me if I didn't like respond to him as soon as I could, or like if I didn't talk to him all day or like whatever. He would get really mad, and then he would punch holes in his wall and then send me pictures of said holes and tell me that it was my fault and that I needed to pay for them and this and that and whatever. I cut that one off pretty quick. But the other guy, on the other hand, was a whole, like, that was,
The whole thing.
yeah, so he convinced me, or tried to convince me, that he would buy me a PC and a full VR setup and everything if I met up with him at our local mall. Which was really dangerous, and I'm glad I didn't do it. I thought about it, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm really glad I didn't.
Yeah, that would have been most likely went to
Yeah.
not something good, so that's good.
Yeah. So, he would send me pictures and videos of him and his ex-girlfriend doing
The deed.
explicit things. Yeah, doing the deed. Which is not okay, and you should not send that to a minor.
You know, maybe we take that
Especially
step
one
further.
who's not
You
consenting.
probably
And
shouldn't send that to
you should
people.
not be sending. Probably shouldn't send that to people, especially if your ex didn't consent to you sending
Yeah,
that to people.
That's overall just
Yeah.
Don't do that, guys.
It's overall just really weird. But yeah, so that whole thing happened, and I was in that situation or scenario with him for a couple months, like the very beginning of my VR experience. Like, not even that, but like even the beginning of my freshman year of high school, I
Wow.
was involved with him, and I genuinely believed and thought that he liked me and that he genuinely loved me, but he didn't. He was just another creep on the internet
Yeah.
looking to get off or whatever, right?
Absolutely, just
And, you know,
disgusting
who-
behavior.
Yeah, exactly. So I cut him off, and then my laptop unfortunately broke. So I didn't have VR for a while. And then sophomore year came around, and I was in a relationship in person. And after a while, that kind of broke off because I started spending a lot of time on VR, and we had issues within our relationship, and he was not the best to me, and I wasn't the best to him because I was a dumb teenager, and
Happens.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
It happens. So for my birthday that year, I had bought myself a Quest 2, which is where I met a lot of my current friends. So I got the Quest 2, and I just started playing. I went to the Black Cat, met a bunch of people there. And during that, I met one of my best friends, actually two of my best friends to this day. And like we are still super close, even though we went through a lot together. Like, it's honestly surprising how we're still friends because of everything that we went to and experienced.
Yeah.
But I have had a lot of time where I've been manipulated and groomed on this game, which makes it concerning for younger kids to play it. 'Cause it's dangerous. As someone who experienced it firsthand, I don't want another person, especially a child, to experience that.
Yeah.
So yeah, with the first couple relationships in VR that I had, one of them was this guy who I was convinced that he liked me, and he didn't. He didn't actually. Spoiler alert. He was not very good to me at all. We didn't even date. It was like a talking stage or whatever you want to call it. And basically, he would every night, or almost every single night, take me to a private world and then start breaking down in front of me and essentially pretending to commit suicide every night.
Oh, wow. And how long did that go on for?
And that went on for about 2 weeks until he pretended to stab himself, and I told him to go to the hospital. So the next day he said that he was going to the hospital, and for some reason, just in my gut, I was just like, this doesn't seem right, you know?
Yeah.
So
And how old were you at this time?
I was 15, turning 16.
I think that's kind of
I
crazy
believe.
that somebody who could be so young on VRChat is exposed to all
Mhm.
this. I think VRChat's
Yeah.
moderation team needs to definitely take a step up. It's kind of crazy how much is
Probably,
you know,
yeah.
let loose upon this world, you know. It's absolutely just
Yeah.
not acceptable, bro. Should not be happening, but continue.
No one should be going through this, but basically, I felt that something wasn't right, and I asked him for proof that he was at the hospital. I wanted to see photo evidence that he was genuinely there, and he got upset at me for asking for proof, and then said, "You were right. I was lying. I just liked the attention that you gave me because my ex-girlfriend broke up with me." So
Wow, just
that's
side fling, man.
That's awesome.
That sucks. Wow, that's just man taking
Yeah.
L's after L's. Not the best.
No,
not
for
the
real.
best.
Immediately following that, I got into a relationship with this one guy who I think he's got a lot going for him, but he didn't execute it right. I think he was immature when we dated. But he was very interested in doing drugs at the time of our relationship. And I am not that kind of person. Like he wanted to do hard drugs like cocaine and like stuff like that, and I wasn't really into that because that's not who I am.
Normal reaction to wanting to do drugs.
I'll smoke weed on the occasional, but I don't want to do coke or anything like that.
Oh, crazy,
So
buddy.
we had a lot of issues regarding the drug problems, and I told him multiple times that like I wasn't interested in being with somebody who had a drug addiction because I don't want to subject myself to a relationship with somebody like that. And looking forward into the future, if I have children, I don't want to subject my kids to that, being around that. You know, I don't think that's not a healthy environment for kids to grow up in. So I ended up after a while, he went back to his hometown to visit some old friends. And during this, he ended up texting me out of nowhere saying that he was having an overdose, that he thought that he was overdosing. So I asked him what he took, how much of it, if there was anyone around to call the police, or if he could get to a nearby hospital, or how far out he was, or, you know, just basic information that you would need to know if, like, they can make it, you know? Because I was prioritizing his safety. I wanted to make sure that he was able to get to the hospital to get the help that he needed, rather than dying, you know?
Better options.
Right?
Just literally dying.
In response, he called me a terrible girlfriend for not consoling him, and ended up just I think he also called me manipulative and a bunch of other stuff during that, and then did talk to me for a while. So then I found out he wasn't overdosing. He was just having a really bad trip. He had taken, I don't remember how much, but he had been doing codeine and was having a really bad trip from that.
Yeah.
And convinced himself that he was overdosing. So I broke that off relatively quickly. And he ended up convincing himself that I had been cheating on him with one of my friends, and started sending her death threats and things like that, and talking horrible shit about me behind my back to my best friends, to my best friend's boyfriend, to almost all of my friends, and pretty much everybody except for the girl that he thought I was cheating with cut me off. My best friend at the time, whose boyfriend he had been talking to, she cut me off because she was in a very manipulative, abusive relationship with this guy, and he convinced her that I was not a good person, and she listened to him, because that's what happens when you're in an abusive relationship with someone who's very manipulative. You stop being able to think for yourself, and she believed every word that he said. So I lost pretty much my entire friend group, including my best friend, all in like one fell swoop, and it was not, it wasn't fun.
Wow.
During the time that I didn't really have any friends, I started jumping around different worlds, trying to meet new people, trying to make new friends, because I was out of a friend group. I wanted to make more friends. And I ended up meeting this one guy, and I met this guy and his friend. And they were both super cool. They were really cool dudes. And they were like, hey, you seem like you would really like our other friend. Like, I think you guys would get along greatly. Like, you should meet him. So I did. I met him, and I immediately thought that he sounded really cute and that I really liked him. So we started hanging out more and more and more and more
Can
and
anyone
more.
guess where this is going?
Can anyone guess? So after about 6 months of being friends, we ended up dating. And it was probably one of the worst relationships I've ever experienced, both online and in person. He was not a good person. He still does have a lot of issues that are just within himself that he himself needs to work on and get through. And then I also have my own issues, you know, from my own trauma and whatnot that I've experienced and lived through and yada yada. So both of our really bad mentals combined, and then just him not being a good person on top of that, it wasn't good. Not to mention we both have really different morals and ideals. He is very being gay is a sin, like that kind of stuff, as well as he's surprisingly very racist.
Wow. Shocker.
Which, it's ironic though, because he is not white, but he's incredibly racist to everybody except for white people.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, it was very, very interesting. So he had an ex-girlfriend who I met her a couple times. She seemed nice, but when they had started dating, he was a minor and she was very much so an adult. And she, I believe, had groomed him because of how large the age difference was.
Yeah.
And he did not want to let her go when we started dating, which I am a firm believer of. If you're in a relationship or you're going to be in a relationship, you should not have contact with your ex. I think that's just a respect thing. I won't have contact with my ex. I don't think my partner should have contact with their ex. I don't think it's right. I think it's odd if you want to stay very, very close friends with them. And, you know, it could totally work out in your relationship, and this is just a me thing, but whatever, you know, whatever suits you. But he really adamantly wanted to stay friends with her, despite how uncomfortable it was for me. He had asked me within, like, the first month of us dating if it would be okay if he still cuddled and kissed his ex-girlfriend, which, honestly, I probably should have seen that as the first red flag. But, you know, here we are. So after a while, after a lot of begging and crying and convincing, he finally blocked her. At this point, we were about 4 or 5 months into our relationship.
And how old were you at the time?
I was 16, or no, I had just turned 17. We started dating a little bit. We started dating in September after my 17th birthday, and this was a year-long relationship. So I was 17 turning 18 in this time frame. So, and oh, he had just turned 18, I think. He's a year older than me.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, where was my thought? Yeah, so he, like, eventually blocked her and whatnot, and was visually upset about it. He didn't want to have blocked her, and he just didn't really do much that looked out for me. He spent a lot of time, like, trying to do what he wanted to do. He would never watch the movies or shows that I wanted to watch. He would never play the games with me that I wanted to play. He wouldn't do anything for me. It was always like him, always about him.
Yeah.
He was very, very selfish, which really sucked. And on top of that, he would also wear quite sexualized female avatars that were, you know,
Curvy. Hourglass figure.
the curviest, the most insane body you've ever seen. And he would often kind of complain and compare me to those because I am not that. I am a very thin, not super duper curvy person. And he liked the really tall, big breasts, big ass, thick thighs, but like teeny tiny little waist. And that's just not achievable
Hey guys,
for a person.
we have to have organs now.
Yeah.
Can't forget about those. No. People need
It's
them.
not achievable unless you like inject yourself with a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah.
So, he was really bad for my mental, because I have always really struggled with body image issues. They came from my family. My grandma had really bad body image issues and gave them to my mom because of how much she would talk bad about herself. Then my mom started thinking that way, and it ended up being projected onto me and my older sister. So, like, for the longest time, I wouldn't, like, eat enough to be healthy.
Yeah.
I would snack throughout the day, and I wouldn't have full meals, and sometimes I would even skip days where I didn't eat, and, like, all that kind of stuff. So him talking like that really just added on to it. It made it a lot worse for me, because, like, in my brain, the ideal body is the big breasts, really tiny waist, and the big hips and stuff, because that's what I've seen people find desirable.
Yeah.
And I want to appeal to people rather than not, you know? Everyone wants to be liked. So, he was just, he was not good.
Something else, man. Sounds like a guy.
He was something else. Oh yeah, the best. During the time that he had his ex blocked, he would often tell me about how his friends would talk shit about me a lot. He told me how his friends thought that I wasn't good for him, or they thought that I was a gold digger, which is ironic because I helped him get a job in the first place. Like, he didn't want to get one, but he ended up getting one, and I was really happy for him and proud for him. And then I was also doing school and trying to get a job and whatnot. But I don't know. They were super convinced that I was.
They
just
had
there
to
for
follow
his money,
GL.
which,
That's fine. Do whatever GL
Yeah,
went.
which
yeah.
Right? I started dating him before he even had a job. He didn't have a job until like 2 months after we started dating. So I don't know where they were going with that, but
Me when I make stuff up.
right. But he was not the brightest person, I won't lie. We had really, really different, like, views on stuff. I am, like, a bisexual woman. Like, I like women, I like men, I this and that. I believe in equality, I believe in women's rights, all this stuff. And he had a very, like, being gay is a sin, but not if you're a woman because it's hot. And then,
What?
he told me that.
That was a crazy,
Yeah, he told me that.
outlandish statement,
It's-
bro. Cherry picking that
I
is
know,
wild.
I know. Yeah, he just didn't like guy on guy, which is ironic because he had sexual intimacy with one of his guy friends before we started dating. Oh, but it's fine because they were wearing female avatars.
Oh yeah, man.
Guys, come on.
Hey, guys, what? Come on.
Guys,
We're-
come on.
We're overreacting around here, alright? It's definitely not.
You're overreacting
That is
here.
crazy.
It's
bro.
not gay.
It's not gay.
But yeah, no. But
Alright.
yeah, he was very like being gay is a sin unless you're lesbian or whatever, and then he also, this is a really big mindset that a lot of VR chat guys have, at least the ones that wear female avatars, is that they think they're gay if they wear a guy avatar. And they use that as like
What?
an excuse to, yeah, they will wear female avatars that are like just outlandishly attractive, and then if you ask them like, oh, why are you wearing a female avatar and not a guy, they'll be like, oh, because it's gay if I wear a guy. I'm looking in the mirror all the time. I have to see a girl. Like, what are
Bro,
you talking about? Do you
what?
want to just be a girl? Like,
bro, dude, just be a girl at that point, bro. What? What are you talking
right?
about? That's-
Yeah.
That's like saying it's like
it's-
gay to be a guy. If like going by their logic, if you look in the mirror in real life,
Yeah.
it's gay somehow. What? Like what?
Oh my god, I'm a woman. That must
Oh
be a lesbian.
no!
What?
Like what?
Oh my god.
I cannot be like this.
Oh, yeah, it was, yeah. So he said that a lot. And he was also, like I said before, very racist. So we wouldn't talk about politics and things like that. We tried to avoid those topics. And if it came up, like, for example, because I was in it for the long run, I genuinely loved him. I was thinking of a future with him. I'm glad I stopped, but I was thinking of a future with him, and I was curious on, like, things like, oh, well, if we had kids and one of them ended up being gay or something, like, how would you respond? And it was always the same, like, oh, I'd disown them, or, oh, not in my house, or I wouldn't go to the wedding, things like that. And that's one of the major places where we clashed. We did not get along there. So we would avoid those kinds of topics.
Do you think
And
do you think he was like that because he was online, or do you think he was genuinely like just like that all the time in real life and in VR?
I think he was genuinely like that, and I think it's because of how he was raised. He was raised in a very religious household, and not well, if I must say. He just, it's just depending on, you know, I think majority of how people, like, think and process things is how they grow up.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, where he was coming from with that. Whereas, like, my parents were very, like, we love everybody, do your thing, like, who cares if you want to wear that skirt, man, go for it. Like, my parents are very,
Yeah, like just
they
accepting of
they love
everybody.
everybody.
Yeah,
They
it's
don't
fine.
want, yeah, they're just very accepting, which I love, because I'm the same way.
I definitely think it's crazy that
Um,
parents, like on a developing mind, like if you're a kid, every day you're told that gay people are bad growing up, you're gonna think gay people
Oh,
are
yeah,
bad.
then
because
you're gonna think
yeah,
that.
you're a
Mhm.
developing mind, and I think it's really sad to see that
Yep,
it still exists.
you're
in this day and age.
impressionable.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely just like,
yeah.
was it really his fault? At some point,
Probably
when,
not,
when he grows up,
but-
even like when he's in his
yeah.
like, you know, when he's an adult, you know, maybe he can start thinking for himself. But when he was growing up, I wouldn't really say that's on him, because that's what his parents are told. That's probably what his family in general was doing around him. So that's all he ever saw was, you know, we gotta hate these people.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's not really his fault growing up.
Yeah, I also think that he might have had a lot of internalized homophobia, because I think he himself is probably bisexual, just from what I've seen and how he acted within our relationship.
Yeah.
There was
Also,
never
maybe
any, like...
smashing a dude. That might have been a sign.
You're right.
Might have been a sign.
There
I'd
was
say.
never any, like, real indication or anything, like, he didn't kiss a guy or anything like that, but, like, you could just kind of see it with
Yeah.
some people. So, after a while, he became friends with this girl who was, I believe, 14 at the time. And this girl, yeah, we're off to a bad start.
Alright, let's see where this is going.
This girl had the biggest crush on him. And, you know, Oh, it is what it is. She was a kid. You know, I don't think it's weird, yes, but most kids have crushes on like video game characters or cartoon characters
like
or
a band or
actors or
anything
whatever.
like
It's
that.
just
Exactly.
it's
just
just
like a
how
kid
it goes.
thing.
I mean, the whole One Direction and Justin
Yeah,
Bieber
exactly.
craze, like come on. So yes, she had a crush on him. And she would often hang out with him, which I didn't have a problem with. I thought it was normal. You know, I didn't think anything was happening, and yeah. So one day we were calling on Discord, the peak online dating app, and he decided to get on VR chat, and I didn't really feel like getting on. I think I was sick at the time, so he was streaming his VR chat for me, and he joined her, and she immediately ran up to him and like squealed and was like, "Oh my god, hi," and then immediately delved into a very, very sexually explicit conversation. Um,
Just like right off the grip.
she was basically,
That's crazy.
yeah, right off, like in the public lobby and everything, just like
That is
right off the
wild.
rip was like, "Oh my god, my friend got me this insert toy here, and it felt so good," and blah 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 blah, and he just was like, "Oh, that's awesome, like that's so cool, like, oh, did you get it from this brand?" Like, I was just sitting
Yo.
there like, what the hell is
What
happening?
am I looking
Like,
at?
you are 19. What are you talking about? So, yeah, that was really bad.
Did you stay
and
with
then-
him after that?
I did, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
I did. I did stay with him.
Oh.
Which honestly, I could probably consider that cheating now with my new mental state. But on just cheating and then the pedophilia.
I was about to
just-
say, like, I feel like
ugh,
the
it's just bad.
pedophilia
bad.
probably takes the ground there.
Yeah.
It's probably
Yeah,
the say all be all there. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah.
They're weird.
But yeah, I told him that I wasn't comfortable with them having conversations like that because I thought it was weird, and he was like, "No, yeah, I get it," and blocked her immediately, which rubbed me the wrong way because I was like, "Why are you being okay with it now to like remove people?"
Yeah, I feel
Whereas
like
like
that should have been,
before
like-
with your ex-girlfriend, you were
Yeah.
very against it, right?
A little weird.
So, about 2 weeks later, he ends up sending me a DM, and it basically said, "I don't care if it hurts you or pisses you off, I'm unblocking my ex." And I was just kind of in disbelief. I was just like, oh, okay, like, that's awesome, you know? Like, how else would you react to that? Like,
Yeah,
I guess I could have broken up with him, but
that might have been probably
we learn from our mistakes.
probably the best option there. But you know, we move on. It's fine. We grow.
Probably. So, basically, he got back in contact with her, and they became super close friends. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna set some boundaries. You can be friends with her, but if you hang out, I want to be there. I
Reasonable.
didn't trust it. I didn't have any trust in our relationship, and that's one of the biggest things you need in a relationship. I didn't have any sort of trust in him because up until then he had been just breaking my trust left and right. So, oh, also, every single time that we would like argue or anything after he unblocked her, he would go and hang out with her privately. And he would ignore me for hours until he felt like responding. So that was awesome. But according to him, it was fine because she has a boyfriend.
That stopped people.
I
in the past.
digress.
It's definitely like
Oh,
a
yeah,
roadblock
definitely.
there. Nah.
Oh yeah,
He has a boyfriend. It's
Yeah.
cool. No need to worry.
yeah.
Just gonna hang out with her alone.
So, oh yeah. So I tried my hardest to be friends with her because I really wanted to make it work. She was okay. There was definitely a big barrier between her and I, just probably because it's hard to be friends with your partner's ex, I think. I don't know. I don't even know why you'd want your partner to be friends with your ex, to be honest, but he was really pushing for that. Yeah, looking back now, I think he might have had ulterior motives
Yeah, I was gonna
there.
say maybe some weird fantasies of his. I'm not sure about that, but
Yeah.
we learn.
But yeah, we live and we learn. We started having a lot of friction in our relationship. Like, we would argue every single day, and it would get to the point where he would shut down emotionally and stop talking to me and ignore me, and I would go and cry to my parents and whatever, because they were very in on my love life, because I wanted to go and visit him someday. I wanted to go and see him and be with him and hold him and whatever, and my parents were obviously involved in that because I was a kid at the time and I wanted them to know, about my partner, even if it was a long distance relationship. So, they were not happy. They didn't like him, really. They thought that I was, not in a good situation, which I wasn't. And, they told me multiple times, they were like, well, are you more happy or sad when it comes to your relationship? Do you spend more days where you're upbeat and happy to hang out with him, or do you spend more days where you're sad and dreading fighting with him, or like just weighing the different feelings, right? And of course it was more sad and upset and not good.
Yeah.
But I didn't leave. I continued to not leave. And we had one of our biggest fights, and I don't remember exactly what he said, but he threatened me with breaking up or something, or like he compared me to his ex, I believe. And that's not okay. You should never compare somebody to somebody else, let alone your partner to your ex-partner.
Pretty base guidelines. They're pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
All around.
Also, I completely forgot to mention this, but part of the reason why I had such big trust issues with him was because he had told me that he had cheated on his ex-girlfriend in the past.
Just a little red flag hitting you in the face, and you just waved it away.
I know.
Hey man, let's keep going.
Can't see red flags through rose-colored glasses, I guess. I don't know.
Hey, I guess. Live and you learn, man. It's alright.
Yep, live and you learn. So basically, towards the end of our relationship, I was still really, really pushing to make it work. I had been having thoughts of breaking up with him for the past 2 weeks at this point, and I really wanted it to end. I didn't want to be with him anymore, but I still genuinely loved and cared about him. I wanted to make it work. So the wanting to make it work outweighed the thoughts of breaking up, which, if you're having thoughts like that in your relationship or doubts like that in your relationship, just break up with them. It's not worth it. If you are so unhappy that you're trying to, convince yourself not to break up with them, I think it's safe to say that you should probably break up with them. Your mental is more important than that, I think. I don't know, I think that you should always prioritize yourself. No matter how much you love the person, if you are in a relationship where you're being constantly hurt or something like that, just don't bother. Just don't do it. Just leave. Easier said than done, for sure. But, I mean, the proof is in the pie, right? So, basically, it was getting towards my 18th birthday, and I really, 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 really wanted to see him. And at this point, I think it was around June, I had gotten a PC and my full body tracking. So I was having so much fun on VR, and I was like, oh my god, I want to go see him, I want to go visit him in person. So I told my parents, for my birthday, I want to go do this. I want to go see him, I want to spend time with him, we can have a small date, it'll be super fun, it'll be amazing, you guys will get to meet him, you'll see he's really not that bad. Whatever. So we booked the hotels, we booked the tickets, we got everything all situated. And this was about a week before my 18th birthday. And in fact, it's actually 4 days until my 19th birthday. Or as of this recording, which is exciting.
Hey, the big
so
19, you know what I'm saying?
This dates a year since that late relationship.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. So basically, I told him that we booked all the stuff and whatever, and then the next day, I called him that morning. We had some friction, and he broke up with me on the spot. I was immediately, dumbfounded. I didn't know how to react or whatever. I just remember like immediately breaking down and not being able to like think or anything. I didn't know who to talk to. I had pretty much distanced myself from all of my friends because when I get into a relationship, or when I would get into a relationship, I would spend all of my time with that one person, which is not healthy, and I do not think people should do that now. But I would like detach from all my friends, spend all my time with that one person, and just make them my entire world. And I was lost. I didn't know what to do or where to go, and I was really confused and scared and upset. And luckily I had my family there. And then after a little bit, I ended up meeting a couple people, one of which is the recorder of this video. And yeah, they made my birthday so much better than it probably would have been had I gone see him. Like, it wasn't the best birthday, but it was sentimental enough. It helped me in the moment, and I'm extremely grateful to the people that were there for that. So yeah, there's that.
There's a little,
And then
nice tight bow at the end of that absolute lump of just
woohoo!
coal.
At the end of that horrible, yeah.
Yeah, just like nice little pink bow. We're chilling. It's nice, whatever. Yep, just cut it off and we're
Wonderful.
good. Wonderful. Just take a step back and just look at that absolute just bonfire. That's fine. The setting of VRChat promotes online dating. As seen in her story, she has dated off VRChat for a while. Out of all of her relationships, she has been used by these men. They use part of her physical and mental well-being. Now, it's unjust to say that this is VRChat's problem, but looking over the fact that she has dated off the game many different times, it is concerning how the game seems to be a congregation of very awful men and women. So it poses the question as to why so many awful people flock to VRChat.
Following that relationship, I didn't really date a whole bunch. There were a couple people that I was interested in, and then I got really scared of experiencing that kind of thing again, and I hurt a lot of people in the process. I was not doing okay mentally. I wanted to love people, and I wanted them to love me. I wanted that kind of experience and that feeling again, but I didn't execute it the right way, and when I would end up with people, I would break it off relatively quickly because of how scared I was. So a lot of my relationships following that one didn't last, and they still haven't. I haven't dated anyone for longer than a month since that relationship. And I think I only dated about 3 people during that time. Not at the same time, but strung out over this last year. And I just haven't been able to keep a relationship since after that. And I mean, it is what it is. It's just something that I'm gonna have to learn from and grow and go forward. But
hey, I said before,
where I'm at now,
learn.
Yeah,
it's fine. Everybody grows up at some point.
Where I'm at now, I'm doing a lot better, I think. It's been a really tough year for me, just because of all that I've experienced. And, you can really only live and learn from it. I stopped going on VR for a while, a couple months, I think, because now that my relationship had ended, I genuinely didn't have much of a reason to get on the game, because, I kind of cut off almost all of my friends because of it, and then, my relationship with him ended, and all the people that I was friends with through him also cut off their relationships with me. So I just tried to find new friends or new hobbies and interests through other things, and during that time I was also going through a lot in my real personal life. I dropped out of high school because school was just not going well. There was a lot of trauma that I experienced in school, so this was just like a whole bundled up year of just
just a
my
nice
online
ugh.
life. Yeah, my online life was going horribly with my partner, and then in person I was getting bullied and R-worded, if you know what that is.
Ah.
Just a whole bunch of stuff.
Just a horrible.
Piled in.
That's a
Couldn't-
horrible year,
Yeah,
bro.
just a
Holy
giant
fuck.
fucking load of shit.
Just a horrible year, bro. Oh my god, that is crazy.
Just a terrible year, the worst year of my life.
Hey, but look at that. You're here right now, telling people the
I'm
story.
here.
You know.
I've made it.
You
Yeah.
made it. Hey, another year in the books. About what is it?
Mhm.
4 days. Like you said, when this is recorded, 4 days. It's another year off the books right there.
4 days from now.
Yep.
Mhm.
So hey, you made it through it. That's all that really matters. You know, you just gotta look back on it. You know, analyze what went wrong. So look at January all the way to December, and just basically don't ever do any of that again. And then you're good. Then you're
Don't
good.
ever do any of that again.
And then you just don't
Yeah,
have to worry
I
about that
mean-
happening again. You know.
Exactly. No, you're actually right.
Hey, you know, I try.
But anyways, I had dropped out of high school and moved to a new state
Fresh start.
where I had no friends because I wasn't in school. I didn't want to go back to high school after everything that I had experienced at my last one. So instead, I took up a GED program and started trying to get my GED through the standardized tests. I wanted to graduate in a different way.
Yeah.
And
Nothing wrong with that either.
after
That's fine.
yeah, after a really, really long time, the math test is very hard. I finally graduated from it. I got my
Hey,
GED,
congratulations!
and
Congratulations.
So after a while, I started applying to jobs because I needed to do something with my life rather than
bread.
rot in my bedroom all day and
Rocks
sit
matting.
at my PC.
My
So I started looking at jobs, applied to a couple places, and it took a long time to I had a couple interviews and they didn't really go well and whatever, and then I finally got the job that I'm at now, and this is the best company I've ever worked for. It's just the best. I love all of my coworkers. Everyone's amazing. The company itself is fantastic. It's just a lot of fun. And I really enjoy my job. I've been surrounding myself with a lot of amazing people, and
Just big
taking
ups
it day
all
by day
around,
now.
you know, big ups
Just
all around.
big ups all around.
Just big ups, you know what I'm saying? That's what we love to see.
Yeah. So I started playing VR chat again after a while. About 2 months ago I picked it back up, and it's been going a lot smoother than the past has.
Thank God.
So I think it's probably because I'm an adult now and I'm more mature and I can actually think.
Your frontal lobe's starting to develop a little bit.
It's getting there. Yay!
Yay! Yippee.
I have never had a relationship on VR chat work out. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but I will say, from my experience and all of the people's experience around me that I've seen, it's not worth it. It won't go anywhere. You'll just end up sad.
Yep.
That's become my philosophy of it.
I mean, at that point, bro, what are you, 0 for 5? Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I've only ever seen it once, once work out, and that was in another VR chat story. You should go check that out. That's VR chat episode number 3. Go check that out.
God, shameless promo.
Shameless promo. We'd love to see it. But yeah, it's probably words of wisdom
Love
there.
to see it.
Just stick to the real life, guys. It's probably better.
Probably better. And, honestly, I'm a firm believer of don't go seeking it out. You're not gonna find anyone who's your person by seeking it out. All you're gonna find are people who just want the idea of having a partner, and that took me the longest time to learn. If the best kind of relationship is the one that blossoms out of nowhere, in my opinion. The one that just, oh shit, I have this now. That kind of relationship. It's great. And just because all of my stories are bad doesn't mean that my entire experience on VRChat as a whole was horrible. because it wasn't. I've met a lot of amazing people that I'm still friends with, like I said, to this day, and I wouldn't be where I am without them. And you know, they always say the bad outshines the good, so that's probably a very big factor here. But yeah, most of my experiences on here have not been the best, but it is what it is. So after I made a bunch of new friends, I met this girl who is still one of my best friends to this day, and she brought around this guy, and I immediately had a crush on him. He was 18, I was 16, and she was also 18. And little did I know, she also had a crush on him, which would be the cause of like the worst part of our friendship. This was both of our pick-me-girl eras, and then he was just a terrible person. So, I would try to hang out with him, like, one-on-one, because I liked him, I wanted to be with him, I wanted him to like me, and she would do the same thing with him because she liked him, she wanted him to be with her, but neither of us would, like, tell each other that we liked him, until eventually I confided in her. I told her that I really liked him, and she was like, oh, okay. Didn't really say anything, and then the next day I got a text from him basically saying, like, hey, I appreciate the sentiment, but I don't like you like that. And I was just like, what? I was really confused. She ended up telling him that I liked him. He told me that she had told him that night, and he didn't want to, like, just lead me on or anything. So, yeah. They started having some issues. They never dated because he was scared of commitment. He didn't want to commit to a relationship with her. But they acted like they were in a relationship. And she ended up getting upset by this because she wanted to be with him, and so she ended up leaving. She stopped talking to him, stopped trying to date him, like all that kind of stuff. And he immediately came crawling to me because he knew that I liked him and that I would give him the attention that he wanted. So, of course, that's what happened. He came to me, and I wanted to be with him. I was giving him that attention. I was being there for him, acting like a girlfriend without being his girlfriend. And he would start saying some very weird, strange, odd things to me. He would, like, at the time I had a very bad self-harm addiction. And when he had seen my body and what I had done to it, he would ask me to do it more because it turned him on. He liked it. Yeah. So that would just make me spiral. And then I also had a crush on her at the time. I wanted to be with her too. So I was like, well, you know, you guys like each other. I like her, and he likes me, and I like him. What if we tried doing this, like, poly thing? And that was not a good idea. I was a kid. It was not a good idea. I personally do not think that poly relationships work out. It is what it is. And, you know, if it does work out for you, do your thing. I'm very happy for you that works out. But in my experience, because I have done them before, it has never worked out. So, anyways, so they both agree to it, and we're doing it for the first, like, 2 weeks, and eventually her and I start talking one-on-one, and we realize that he is really messed up. He told her to keep crying in front of him because it turned him on. I confided in her the thing that he said to me about my addiction, and we were just like, this is a really bad situation for us both, and we need to leave immediately. So that's what we did. We both, or at least I, blocked him and cut off contact, and she is still friends with him to this day, which bothers me a lot. But, you know, it's her life, it's her friends, she can choose who she stays in contact with. But that wasn't the first time her and I were in a situation where we both liked the same person. In fact, that was the second time, and then it would happen, I believe, one more time after that. But that was...
Wow.
Yeah, it was hard. It was not a good time. But yeah.
I mean, I personally agree too. I don't think poly relationships ever work out. If it does for you, like you said, you know, all to you. Glad it works for y'all. But I've never experienced a poly relationship, never will. But from what I've seen on an outside perspective is that they usually end bad. Also, the dude himself sounds like he has a lot of things in his mind that he needs to figure out himself. Probably shouldn't be telling people to continue doing things that are actively hurting themselves.
Definitely, so, definitely not. He was not a good person.
Maybe we shouldn't be doing that. So he's probably in a VR chat gang.
Don't. That was actually the guy that she started dating after that. He was in a VR chat gang.
This is gonna be the corniest thing ever.
Yeah, no, genuinely. Hi, I'm Sugar. Thank you for listening to my giant shitload of story. But yeah, thank you.
Negative experience and turn it into a positive aspect of their life. This obviously is the biggest.
Sorry, Booger Eater 23 got on Terraria as I'm recording, so.
To one's life, since VR chat is completely based upon. I can't breathe. I